Reading through the Bible in one year: August 5th, Judges 19, Acts 23, Jeremiah 33, and Psalms 3 through 4. There we go. In those days, when there was no king in Israel, a Levite staying in a remote part of the hill country of Ephraim acquired a woman from Bethlehem in Judah as his concubine. Now, a concubine is usually a slave and has lower legal status than a wife. I didn't think this through on my own. There's the notes right here. Strongly recommend them. Um, Basically, it's like a regular slave that you can have sex with, but because you're violating her, or you're basically you have to kind of bring her into your family because you're doing this. She has much more of a status than anybody else. If you decide not to be with her anymore for any reason whatsoever, she can walk away free and clear. It's not like one of your other slaves who has to buy their way out. She walks away anytime she wants, or anytime you're done with her. I don't know. It's kind of weird. We don't have them today. It's a thing that happened then. Anyway, so reminding you again of how terrible this book is. This is a snapshot of some of the horrible things that happened. Now, this Levite may very well be the same Levite we saw before from the tribe of Dan. Or maybe not. We don't know. All we know is that this is another horrible thing that's happening, and we're getting this snapshot from God to reveal to us what happens when we walk away from God. And that's, again, the whole point of all of these things. So, verse 2, but she was unfaithful to him and left him for her father's house in Bethlehem in Judah. She was there for 4 months. Basically, it's not saying that she was unfaithful and that she cheated on him, but that she left him to go home. Then her husband got up. No, he's called her husband here. And followed her to speak kindly to her and bring her back. He had his servant with him and a pair of donkeys. So she brought him to her father's house, and when the girl's father saw him, he gladly welcomed him. His father-in-law, the girl's father, detained him, and he stayed with him for 3 days. They ate, drank, and spent the nights there. On the 4th day, they got up early in the morning and prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Have something to eat, to keep up your strength, and then you can go." So they sat down, and the two of them ate and drank together. Then the girl's father said to the man, "Please agree to stay overnight and enjoy yourself." The man got up to go, but his father-in-law persuaded him, so he stayed and spent the night there again. He got up early in the morning on the 5th day to leave, but the girl's father said to him, "Please keep up your strength." So they waited until late into the afternoon, and the two of them ate. The man got up to go with his concubine and his servant, when his father-in-law, the girl's father, said to him, "Look, night is coming. Please spend the night. See, the day is almost over. Spend the night here. Enjoy yourself. Then you can get up early tomorrow for your journey and go home." But the man was unwilling to spend the night. And he got up, departed, and arrived opposite Jebus, that is, Jerusalem. The man had his 2 saddled donkeys and his concubine with him. When they were near Jebus, and the day was almost gone, the servant said to his master, "Please, why not let us stop in this Jebusite city and spend the night here?" But his master replied to him, "No, we will not stop at a foreign city where there are no Israelites. Let's move on to Gibeah." "Come on," he said. "Let's try to reach one of these places and spend the night in Gibeah or Ramah." So they continued on their journey, and the sun set as they neared Gibeah and Benjamin. They stopped to go in and spend the night in Gibeah, and the Levite went in and sat down in the city square, but no one took them into their home to spend the night. In the evening, an old man came in from his work in the field. He was from the hill country of Ephraim, but he was residing in Gibeah where the people were Benjaminites. He looked and saw the traveler in the city square, and the old man asked, Where are you going? And where do you come from? He answered him, We're traveling from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote hill country of Ephraim, again, where he is from. Where I am from. Well, when I said where he is from, I mean the old man as well. So they're both from the same place. I went to Bethlehem in Judah, and now I'm going to the house of the Lord, and no one has taken me into his home. Although there's straw and feed for the donkeys, and I have bread and wine from me, my concubine, and the servant with us. There's nothing we lack. Basically saying, look, I don't need anything from anybody. I just need a place to stay. Welcome, said the man. I'll take care of everything you need. Only don't spend the night in the square. So he brought him to his house and fed the donkeys. They washed their feet and ate and drank. And while they were enjoying themselves, all of a sudden, wicked men from the city surrounded the house and beat on the door. They said to the old man who was the owner of the house, Bring out the man who came to your house so we can have sex with him. Well, the owner of the house went out and said to them, Please, don't do this evil, my brothers. After all, this man has come into my house. Don't commit this horrible outrage. Here, let me bring out my virgin daughter and the man's concubine now. Abuse them and do whatever you want to them, but don't commit this outrageous thing against this man. I'm going to read the note on this because it's important. Again, reading from the Reformation Study Bible. As Lot offered his daughters to protect his guests, in that case it was angels, the host offered his daughter to protect the Levite. The author does not comment on the morality of this author, but the whole story is presented as a final illustration of the evil consequences of forsaking God's rule and doing what is right in one's own eyes. Again, this is descriptive, not prescriptive. I've had people try to use this verse or this section to say, look how horrible the Bible is. Well, it's only horrible in this because it's explaining something that happens when you forsake God's law. Verse 25, but the men would not listen to him. So the man seized his concubine, took her outside to them. They raped and abused her all night until morning, and at daybreak they let her go. Early that morning, the woman made her way back, and as it was getting light, she collapsed at the doorway of the man's house where her master was. Her master got up in the morning, no longer called her husband, and opened the door of the house. He went to leave on his journey, and there was the woman, his concubine, collapsed near the doorway of the house with her hands on the threshold. Get up, he told her. Let's go. But there was no response. So the man put her on his donkey and set out for home. When he entered his house, he picked up a knife, took hold of his concubine, and cut her into 12 pieces, limb by limb, and sent her throughout the entire territory of Israel. Now, when it says this, it doesn't necessarily say that he sent one piece to each of the tribes. He sent her cut up body to everybody. Why? Because he's showing exactly how disjointed the people have become. But also he's saying, look what happened not to my wife, but to my property. Verse 30, everyone who saw it said, nothing like this has ever happened or has been since the day the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt until now. Think it over, discuss it, and speak up. Let's move on to Acts 23. I warned you ahead of time. This book gets real. Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin. Again, the ruling class of the Jews, the ruling party that rules over the Jews at the time, and said, brothers, I have lived my life before God in all good conscience to this day. The high priest, Ananias, ordered those who were standing next to him to strike him on the mouth. Paul said to him, God is going to strike you, you whitewashed wall. You are sitting there judging me according to the law, yet in violation of the law, you are ordering me to be struck. Those standing nearby said, "Do you dare revile God's high priest?" "I did not know, brothers, that he was the high priest," replied Paul. "For it is written, you must not speak evil of a ruler of your people." When Paul realized that one part of them were Sadducees and the other part were Pharisees, remember, Sadducees don't believe in anything miraculous. They believe that when you die, it's lights out. Nothing comes after death. They don't believe in any kind of miracles. They don't believe in anything at all. Whereas the Pharisees, they believe in all the things promised in Scripture. So he realized that there was this competing group between the two of them, and he cried out in the Sanhedrin, "Brothers, I am a Pharisee, a son of Pharisees. I am being judged because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead." When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, and neither angel nor spirit. But the Pharisees affirm them all. The shouting grew loud, and some of the scribes of the Pharisees' party got up and argued vehemently. "We find nothing evil in this man. What if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him?" When the dispute became violent, the commander feared that Paul might be torn apart by them and ordered the troops to go down and take him away from them and bring him into the barracks. The following night, the Lord stood by him and said, "Have courage, for you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so it is necessary for you to testify in Rome." When it was morning, the Jews formed a conspiracy and bound themselves under a curse not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul. There were more than 40 who had formed this plot. These men went to the chief priests and elders and said, "We have bound ourselves under a solemn curse that we won't eat anything until we have killed Paul. So now you, along with the Sanhedrin, make a request to the commander that he bring him down to you, as if you were going to investigate more fully, or investigate his case more thoroughly. But before he gets near, we are ready to kill him." But the son of Paul's sister, hearing about their ambush, came and entered the barracks and reported it to Paul. Paul called one of the centurions and said, "Take this young man to the commander, because he has something to report to him." So he took him, brought him to the commander, and said, "The prisoner Paul called me and asked me to bring this young man to you because he has something to tell you." The commander took him by the hand, led him aside, and inquired privately, "What is it you have to report to me?" "The Jews," he said, "have agreed to ask you to bring Paul down to the Sanhedrin tomorrow, as though they were going to hold a somewhat more careful inquiry about him. Don't let them persuade you, because there are more than 40 of them lying in ambush, men who have bound themselves under a curse not to eat nor drink until they have killed him. Now they are ready, waiting for your consent." So the commander dismissed the young man and instructed him, "Don't tell anyone that you have informed me about this." He summoned 2 of his centurions and said, again, centurion is someone who's over 100, meaning 100, over 100, I can't think what term is, soldiers. There we go. Hi, it's been a long day. So he summoned 2 of his centurions and said, "Get 200 soldiers ready." Basically, get all your men with 70 cavalry and 200 spearmen to go to Caesarea at 9 o'clock tonight. Also, provide mounts to ride so that Paul may be brought safely to Felix the governor. So he wrote the following letter: "Claudius Lysias, to the most excellent governor Felix, greetings. When this man had been seized by the Jews and was about to be killed by them, I triumphantly arrived with my troops and rescued him, because I learned he is a Roman citizen." See how he's kind of twisting things to make himself look good. "Wanting to know the charge they were accusing him of, I brought him down before their Sanhedrin, and I found the accusations were concerning questions of their law, and that there was no charge that merited death nor imprisonment. When I was informed that there was a plot against the man, I sent him to you right away. I also ordered his accusers to state their case against him in your presence. So the soldiers took Paul during the night and brought him to Antipatris as they were ordered. The next day they returned to the barracks, allowing the cavalry to go on with him. When these men entered Caesarea and delivered the letter to the governor, they also presented Paul to him. After he read it, he asked what province he was from. When he learned he was from Cilicia, he said, "I will give you a hearing when your accusers also get here." He ordered that he be kept under guard in Herod's palace. Bringing up the rest of the notes here for you. And there we go. Let's move on to Jeremiah 33 now. While he was still confined in the guard's courtyard, the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah a second time. Yahweh, who made the earth, Yahweh, who forms it to establish it. Yahweh is his name. He says this, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and incomprehensible things you do not know. For this is what Yahweh, the God of Israel, says concerning the houses of this city and the palaces of Judah's kings, the ones torn down for defense against the assault ramps and the sword. The people coming to fight the Chaldeans will fill the houses with the corpses of their own men that I strike down in my wrath and fury. I have hidden my face from this city because of all of their evil. Yet I will certainly bring health and healing to it, and I will indeed heal them. I will let them experience the abundance of true peace. I will restore the fortunes of Judah and of Israel, and will rebuild them as in former times. I will purify them from all the iniquity they have committed against me, and I will forgive all the iniquities they have committed against me, rebelling against me. This city will bear on my behalf a name of joy, praise, and glory before all the nations of the earth, who will hear of all the prosperity I will give them. They will tremble with awe because of all the good and all the peace I will bring about for them. This is what Yahweh says. In this place, which you say is a ruin, without people or animals, that is, in Judah's cities and in Jerusalem's streets that are a desolation without people, without inhabitants, without animals, there will be heard again a sound of joy and gladness, the voice of the groom and the bride, and the voice of those saying, "Give thanks to the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies, for Yahweh is good. His faithful love endures forever." As they bring thanksgiving sacrifices at the temple of the Lord, I will restore the fortunes of the land as in former times, says Yahweh. This is what the Lord of armies says. In this desolate place, without people or animals, in all its cities there will be once more a grazing land, where shepherds may rest flocks. The flocks will again pass under the hands of the one who counts them, in the cities of the hill country, the cities of the Judean foothills, the cities of the Negev, and the land of Benjamin, the areas around Jerusalem and in Judah's cities, says Yahweh. Look, the days are coming. This is the Lord's declaration, when I will fulfill the good promise that I have spoken concerning the house of Israel and the house of Judah. In those days and at that time, I will cause a righteous branch, talking about Jesus here, to sprout up for David, and he will administer justice and righteousness in the land. In those days, Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will dwell securely. This is what and this is what she will be named. The Lord is our righteousness. For this is what Yahweh says, David will never fail to have a man sitting on the throne of the house of Israel. The Levitical priests will never fail to have a man always before me to offer burnt offerings, to burn grain offerings, and to make sacrifices. The word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. This is what Yahweh says. If you can break my covenant with the day in my covenant with the night, so that day and night cease to come at the regular time, then also my covenant with my servant David may be broken. If that could happen, then he would not have a son reigning on his throne, and the Levitical priests would not be my ministers. Even as the stars of heaven cannot be counted, and the sand of the sea cannot be measured, so too will I make innumerable the descendants of my servant David, and the Levites who minister to me. The word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah. Have you not noticed what these people have said? They say, Yahweh has rejected the two families he has chosen. My people are treated with contempt and no longer regarded as a nation among them. This is what Yahweh says. If I do not keep my covenant with the day and with the night, and if I fail to establish the fixed order of heaven and earth, then I might also reject the descendants of Jacob and of my servant David. That is, I would not take rulers from his descendants to rule over the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But in fact, I will restore their fortunes and have compassion upon them. And that is all the notes. Let's go to Psalms 3 through 4 now. Lord, how my foes increase. There are many who attack me, many who say about me, there is no help for him in God. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory and the one who lifts up my head. I cry aloud to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not be afraid of the thousands of people who have taken their stand against me on every side. Rise up, Lord. Save me, my God. You strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. May your blessing be on your people. Now, Psalm 4. Answer me when I call, God who vindicates me. You freed me from affliction. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. How long, exalted ones, will my honor be insulted? How long will you love what is worthless and pursue a lie? Know that the Lord has set apart the faithful for himself. The Lord will hear when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. Reflect in your heart while on your bed and be silent. Offer sacrifices in righteousness and trust in the Lord. Many are asking, who can show us anything good? Let the light of your face shine on us, Lord. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and new wine abound. I will both lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, Lord, make me live in safety. And that is all the notes. And that is all we have for today. So God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.